evasion was masked by adrenaline. Her face absorbed the brunt of the fall. The dirt smeared on her cheeks, turning crimson as the wounds beneath began to bleed. As she struggled against my grip in an effort to break free, my hand was dislodged from her mouth, and she got out a short, piercing scream before I was able to recover. The echo of her scream seemed to carry in the ensuing fight. I soon established myself on top and used my weight to subdue her. With my knee pressed against her back, I reached into my backpack for the duct tape. I started the tape on the left side of her mouth, extending it across when suddenly I realized I couldn't tear the tape. Her movements were violent, and she was trying desperately to throw me off. I needed at least one hand to keep her secure. After a desperate struggle to sever the tape, I became panicked that someone would appear behind us on the trail at any moment. My hands were perspiring at a faster rate than I could wipe them off on my shirt. Every neural impulse was fixated on finding a quick answer. Her mouth had to be taped shut, but I couldn't risk her squirming free for even a second. My frantic neurons suddenly recovered, and I knew what I had to do. I wrapped the duct tape rapidly around her head, allowing the roll to simply hang after the fourth rotation. Within a minute, I had carried her struggling body out of sight of the trail and tied her to a tree. Other than a few scrapes on my arms and legs, it couldn't have been scripted better. Deep breath. Now comes the hard part. I watched her struggling against the restraints, yearning to break free, but I knew there was a slim chance of that happening. The knots were sailor knots, a type my father taught me back in Boy Scouts, and not easily undone. Nonetheless, she fought, but her efforts were fruitless, and her mumbled screams through the duct tape were futile. There was a calm feel to the forest. The leaves bristled in the slight breeze, and for the time being, it felt as though we were the only two on Earth. I eyed her as I started my monologue. "Why did you do it, Nancy?" She shot to attention but didn't respond. There was no use playing dumb now. "How could you go home to your family at night? What's the dinner conversation? Hey, Sam, could you pass the potatoes? Oh, let me tell you about the elderly woman I murdered today." Her eyes darted towards me. I couldn't tell if it was because I knew her son's name or the crime she committed. Either way, the stare was deadly. "You must be surprised I know so much," I continued. "I mean, you couldn't possibly believe that you could keep this up forever." She was still silent. "How's the husband? Ever thought about offing him? Come on, Nancy, don't tell me you've never considered cashing in that life insurance policy on him." Now I was reaching, but her eyes told me I was probably right. They possessed such an unremorseful cruelty that it sent a small shiver down my spine. She was mumbling now, and I knew I needed to hear her last words. Everyone deserves to have that final say, no matter the crime. I handed her a small pen, fitting it between her hands, and tossed a pad of paper on her lap. Immediately, she started writing. Meanwhile, I put on a pair of thick latex gloves, always orange, because it was my favorite color. Then I pulled out the syringe, an 18-gauge needle, to be exact. When she laid eyes upon it, a fearful dread overcame them. She squirmed as if she could retreat into a safe haven. It was odd. She was a nurse and worked with needles all day. They were even her weapon of choice, yet she recoiled at the sight. Although I couldn't say I wouldn't be doing the same, given her situation. While I waited for her to draft her parting words, I took a seat against a sturdy oak facing her. I cleared away the shriveled leaves that had fallen to forge a spot on the dirt floor. I took in a deep breath, letting the cool fall air prick the inside of my chest. Releasing the excess, I watched my breath dance away into an invisible mist. The thought of how we took such a gift for granted and how quickly it could be taken away brought a sobering calm. I felt the anxious anger momentarily drift away. A short grunt indicated she was finished. I rose from my resting spot and took the pen and pad from her, examining it. Short, very short for a last confession, and shallow, unapologetic, without a hint of remorse. I scoffed at her last words. "Do you know who my husband is? Whatever you want, he can get it for you. Just let me go." You think this is about money? I was chuckling now. Come on, Needle Nancy.